American family economy is under attack, and these 10 signs will show you how dire the situation has become. From declining income to rising costs, the pressure on families is mounting. If you're a family trying to make ends meet, you know firsthand the challenges and stress that come with financial insecurity. As Americans, we pride ourselves on the idea of the American dream, but for many families, that dream feels increasingly out of reach. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the factors that are making it harder and harder for families to make ends meet and how it's impacting the overall state of the American family. We'll examine the challenges that families are facing and what we can do to support them. So grab a snack and get ready to learn more about the 10 alarming signs that the American family is struggling financially. Sign number 1, rising cost of living outpacing wages. One of the biggest challenges facing American families is the rising cost of living. From housing to healthcare to education, it seems like everything just keeps getting more expensive. And unfortunately, wages haven't kept up. In fact, wages have been stagnant for decades while the cost of living has continued to rise. This means that families are having to work longer hours or take on additional jobs just to make ends meet. For example, let's look at housing. The cost of buying a home has skyrocketed in recent years, and even renting has become unaffordable for many families. This is especially true in urban areas where demand is high and supply is limited. And it's not just the cost of living that's a problem. The cost of healthcare has also been on the rise. Deductibles and copays can be especially difficult for families to afford, and the cost of prescription drugs continues to be a major concern. And let's not forget about education. The cost of college has gone through the roof, and many families are struggling to pay for their children's education. Even with financial aid and scholarships, it can be a struggle to come up with the funds. All of these rising costs are putting a huge strain on families' finances, and it's no wonder that so many are struggling to make ends meet. Sign number 2, increasing credit card debt. Another worrying trend is the increasing reliance on credit cards to make ends meet. With wages stagnant and the cost of living on the rise, it's no surprise that so many families are turning to credit to get by. But the problem is, credit card debt can be especially insidious. The interest rates are often very high, which means that it can be difficult for families to pay off their debt. This can create a vicious cycle where families are forced to rely on credit just to make ends meet. But the high interest rates make it harder and harder to pay off their debt. Sign number 3, decreasing savings and retirement security. The trend of decreasing savings and retirement security is also a major concern. With the cost of living on the rise and wages stagnant, it's no wonder that so many families are struggling to save for their future. And unfortunately, fewer and fewer Americans have access to employer-provided retirement plans, which means that they have to rely on personal savings. But with so many families struggling to make ends meet, it could be hard to put anything aside for the future. This lack of savings can have serious consequences. Without enough money saved up, families may not be able to afford retirement, or they may be forced to rely on Social Security or other forms of assistance. And if there's an unexpected expense, such as a car repair or a medical bill, it could be very difficult to come up with the funds. If you're struggling to get ahead and build a better future for yourself and your family, our channel is here to help. From saving money to investing wisely, we've got you covered. Please support us by liking and subscribing to our channel. Sign number 4, rising healthcare costs. This is a big one, and it affects just about every family. Healthcare costs in the US are skyrocketing, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for families to afford. This is especially true for those with chronic conditions or unexpected medical emergencies. And don't even get us started on high deductibles and copays. It's no wonder so many families are struggling to pay for healthcare. Sign number 5, lack of access to affordable housing. This is a big problem, especially in urban areas. The cost of housing is just out of control, and it's making it really tough for families to find a place to live that they can afford. And if they can't afford housing, it can lead to some really serious consequences. Homelessness or living in overcrowded or substandard conditions, just to name a few. Sign number 6, decreasing social mobility. This is a big concern for a lot of families. It used to be that if you worked hard and played by the rules, you could count on being able to improve your financial situation. But these days, it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that. There are all sorts of factors at play here: education, job opportunities, and systemic barriers, just to name a few, and it's making it really tough for families to get ahead. Sign number 7, rising student loan debt. This is a big one, especially for families with multiple children in college. The cost of education has just skyrocketed, and more families are turning to student loans to pay for it. But all that debt can be a real burden, especially if it's not easy to find a job after graduation, and it can make it really tough for families to save for the future or make other financial decisions. Sign number 8, rising food insecurity. There is a big problem in the US, especially for families with low incomes. It's getting harder and harder for these families to afford nutritious food, and it's having some serious consequences. Poor nutrition can lead to all sorts of health problems, and it can make it difficult for kids to concentrate in school. It's a real crisis that needs to be addressed. Sign number 9, increasing numbers of underemployed or unemployed. This is a big concern for a lot of families. When you lose your job or can't find a job that pays a living wage, it could be a real financial struggle. And if it goes on for a long time, it can have some serious consequences. It's tough enough to make ends meet when you have a steady income, but when that income is uncertain, it could be really stressful. Sign number 10, decreasing access to social services. This is a big problem for a lot of families. Services like welfare, healthcare, and education are getting harder and harder to come by, and it's making it really tough for families to make ends meet. When you don't have access to these services, it could be really hard to afford basic necessities or to improve your financial situation. Please like and subscribe to our channel, Economic Empires. Your support helps us bring you more valuable content and tips on saving money, investing wisely, and overcoming the struggle. Thanks for watching. So there you have it. These are 10 alarming signs that the American family is being destroyed. It's a tough situation, but it's one that we can do something about. Whether it's advocating for policies that address these issues or finding ways to support families in need, there are steps we can take to make a difference. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.